the more people, the more society has different culture and different various culture, the more they can do good. That study said. Maybe that's the reason why the United States is the first, the biggest country in the world. But I think and still think that culture is a basic, it's a ground. People have to be able to use their identity for their government. The US, people talk about the United States outside of the United States based on their culture. You will be surprised that if you come to Cameroon, certain people will tell you about your music. People will be singing some of the music that you wouldn't even believe that they know about. They will be dressing just like Americans, buying American cars, because you were able to sell your culture to the people. And that's how you can make a difference in the world. Because anybody is good at what is personal to himself. You cannot be good at something that is not yours. You can only express yourself and be happy to do it when you talk about yourself. When you put things that are as assets to you, when you sell them. So that's what needs to be done. You have to be able, I'm here sharing my traditions and all of those views, because I think that if you know and if you like the tradition, you will be more available to say, oh, let me go to Cameroon. Maybe when you come to Cameroon, that's when you will find probably something that you like. And that's how it starts. You will meet with people, you will think about doing something in Cameroon. That's how it works. So culture, I believe that they should put more emphasis on culture. Putting values on culture is very, very important. When I came to the US, for example, I know some Africans who were ashamed to wear their traditional clothes walking on the street. That, what I'm talking about probably 10 years ago, or 15 years ago, not 20 years or anything. Yeah. They were ashamed, they didn't want to dress because they felt that people would look at them differently and all of that. No, look at the difference now. Now you're listening to even Nigerian music that I've taken, because it's through that you can pay attention and try to know exactly what is going on there, what is the feeling, what are the people thoughts and all of that. And once you get into that, you want to know more. And that's how things start. So yes, I think culture is very important.
Speaking of traveling to Cameroon, I'm going to turn to Professor Letitia Harris, who was recently there.
Yes, good morning, and my apologies for being late. I had another meeting. I'm Assistant Dean for Student Services and Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion here at the Elliott School. And I also teach African Studies. So I'm going to tie a couple of questions together here. I did recently travel to Cameroon in June for a professional trip and had the opportunity to travel different places, including to Fumban. And I went to the museum, and I was at the palace when you were there receiving people in June. I did not have the opportunity to meet you because you had not started greeting people yet, but you were sitting at the palace entrance. So I am teaching women in leadership in Africa this semester. And one of the things that I was absolutely struck by is that Cameroon has this great history of women's leadership as kings, going back to at least Ruth 10. And her insistence that she had the right as a woman to inherit property, and her refusal to be marginalized, and going off and starting a whole new kingdom from which others over time grew as other descendants created their own kingdoms, etc. And in visiting the museum after going through and looking at the history as, and please forgive me for the pronunciation, Njaryen? Yes. So he founded Funban and the Bamoun people. And in the museum, I was struck by the fact that in your history, you continued that tradition of Bhutan. You have women kings. In English, we use the word king because we genderize leadership in a way that many African societies do not. But after the last woman king, who then turned her reign over to her son, there haven't been others. So is there, within establishing modernity and tradition, is there an effort to reclaim that history of Bhutan and the other women kings throughout the Cameroonian history for women to be able to return to the throne, to be able to own property? Technically in the law, women can, but in tradition, it's not quite that simple. So as a traditional leader in a modern society, what is the potential future role for women to resume their ability to reign and own and manage property and inherit property in Cameroon?
I understand. Probably I understand it probably better because I had a journey here in the US. And I know how important it is, you know, to have gender equality and all of that. But talking about Africa, people have to, first of all, because that's the topic that comes all the time. When people think about Africa, they always think, oh no, we see women, they're marginalized, they're this and that. We have to know something. In all society, there are good things and the bad things. There are good people and the bad people. Whatever the United States, excuse me by saying this, and I appreciate the great efforts that people do here in the US for that to be, but we still have cases. We even still have people that you know that their view will never change, but they live in the US. Freedom even has led them to be able to stand still on their